This is Vjosa. And this is us. This is how Vjosa looked like years ago, and most importantly, she still does today. This is the biggest free-flowing river in the whole Europe. With 270 kilometers, she is a true artery that defines this part of the Balkans Peninsula. She starts her path in the Pindos Mountains of Greece, on a plateau 1,400 meters above sea level, where numbers of small streams filled with melting snow waters come together to form one riverbed. Unfortunately, just on the start this phenomenon is covered with water. In 1987, a huge dam was built there, and a reservoir with 8.5 square kilometers was established. The lake covers former amazingly rich high-altitude wetlands, and its waters are now used to produce energy for the region. Sleeping under a dam is something every cell in your body feels as a bad idea. Anyhow, we wanted to experience this first-handed. Now I know how Salman or Hutchum feel like when faced with a wall of concrete or gravel or a metal pipe, just that they don't have a clue what is really happening. When you stop water flow, you cause disease to the environment. It is like in our bodies. When you stop the flow, something bad happens. We tried to continue our way downstream, but the river simply vanished. We had to take our boats and occupy our minds with something more inspiring. Wildlife, with its will to live, always provides with that. Life is resilient and finds a way to bypass obstacles we humans produce daily. Inspired by their courage, we headed downstream to find a flow. Luckily, the river appeared soon, and we realized that the flow is quite vivid. Dam cuts away less than 10 kilometers of a riverbed, and from then on, she is alive and well, like there was no dam above. Downstream from charming little village Vjosa, river starts to show her character. She throws something new at you after every turn. As happy as small kids, we could now start our journey and relation with her. In Greece, they call her Eos, and she has been a worshipped river since the dawn of the time. Ancient Greeks cherished her flows in numerous occasions. Riverbanks soon become steeper and closer to each other, forming a beautiful canyon. The night caught us at the right moment. Just before Box Canyon, we were able to find a perfect spot to overnight. When in tune with the flow of the river, everything changes its looks, even yourself and your body. Spending a night out in a canyon invigorates you. In the morning, the sound of the thundering rapid just meters away gets combined with the view. This is when kayakers get restless and eager to get as wet as soon as possible. Starting paddling at first light is every boater's dream. However, we were not just boating, we were there on a mission. Mission to catch a trout where probably no one has tried to before, as this place is unreachable by other means than kayak. When I caught our first brown trout, only as big as my palm, I was happy as never before when fishing. I knew we will not get back empty-handed. We gently took all measurements and tissue samples from the fins that will later be examined by a group of specialists and released her back into her astoundingly green pool. Wildlife was becoming more abundant with every stroke we took, as the remoteness did. Tiny waterfalls, big pools and peculiar vegetation accompanied us until we reached two bigger tributaries that changed the river so drastically we could hardly believe. One small crystal clear stream became a strong and murky flow over tight boulder gardens, and we had to hold our paddles firmly for a while, smiling and enjoying when so. Soon the canyon opened, and after a day's paddling we came to a perfect sand dune formed by recent high waters. The river provides you with everything you need. Driftwood was plentiful, and we could build a big fire before unpacking our gear. The day was perfect for an evening fishing session, an enterprise that brings you even closer to the river and her inhabitants. Like everything in, on and by the river, the woods was a part of the cycle, brought from far upstream to feed the riverbanks lower down, this night giving us opportunity to extract warmth out of it. When you really carefully listen to the fire, you can hear the stories branches and logs have to share. Combined with its serene flames and the sound of the rivers, this is one of the best soundtracks Mother Earth has to offer. These are the moments that make us what we are. Morning light brought the breeze that, with the help of birds singing vividly, gently woke us up. Connection becomes even deeper when you feel the gratitude for having a chance to spend a night at such a special place. A new day on river is in front of you. Can it get any better? You make a small thanksgiving to the river, the sun, the trees, and birds and fish, and you pack your things, get ready, and go. Go with the flow into the unknown to see what the blue line in a map has to tell you in person. New turn, new horizons, new scenery, like in a theater. A black stork flew above us just after start, graciously and mysteriously like only these huge birds can. Hundreds of little plants gathered on a wet wall just downstream, attracting hundreds of flies to feed them so they can grow on such a poor substrate. Never-ending network of connections, facilitation and small solutions. Something that happen only if you don't mess with river, if you just leave her alone. Before long, astounded by the serenity and magic of the place, we could realize that the blue line on the map has something more to show. The canyon walls became vertical and high. We entered into a sacred place. Tight, remote canyon where even sun has hard times to reach it, enriched with some most delicate and technical whitewater we could wish for. Scouting from riverbanks and signaling the right lines to each other, we experienced some of the best paddling we ever had. With every breath and every look, there you receive so much. I hope we give back at least some of this amazing energy with our smiles and happiness. Canyon then opens, but the amazing whitewater insists, showing also her brutal side. It gives and takes, did so for eons, and will in the future. Mountains give place to flat downstreams of Konica, and the river shows yet another face. From roaring flows that take gravel and life away in dark canyons, to slow flow that brings all this gravel and nutritious to the amazingly fertile alluvial plains. We started meeting more and more locals as we approached first bigger settlements, and so we did soon meet the border. Another line on the map that only humans try to understand. Nature does not care about it all. River once again, after receiving a big river-right tributary, changes her character, and so does her name. Now people around her call her Vjosa. Combined with high Nemeretske mountain ridge, they form scenery like from your dreams, so it is hard to tell what is happening when you open your tent. River is living with local people and the other way around. There is more than one parallel when people and rivers are compared. They are just like river, very friendly and full of surprises. Only they are the ones that can show you the river and the land as they carry it in their bodies and mind. They are the proof that simple life is not something that would impoverish us, but something that keeps a smile on your face all the time. Sad to say, the same cannot be applied to ones that sit in the offices and decide what to do with the land and the amazing rivers. To some, river flow is just something that waits to be squeezed in a power cable so we can produce more and more and more. They are the ones that don't nourish their own garden, have different dreams and don't open their tents in the morning. Unfortunately, we experienced the hardest blow to our heads and hearts just after seeing what a living river really means. Probably the most amazing right tributary to Vjosa, called with beautiful name Langarica, is now caught behind a concrete wall, and most of her waters will soon be transferred in pipes to the hill, where a small hydropower plant will stand. We were so pissed that we entered the canyon, even with a strong no from workers and a too low water level to see the limestone carved marvel for ourselves. We were left speechless with our thoughts from admiration to anger, fighting in our heads. All this destruction for some glowing light bulbs. Even the sky started crying. Good vibes can help a place to heal, so we did our best with enjoying in natural hot pools at the end of the canyon. Amazing experience that made us even stronger in decisions to do all we can to stop such indeed aggression over rivers. The thunderstorm colored the river in murky brown and gave a lovely little spring just downstream of Kelchire an opportunity to show himself at its best. This taught our spirits back up and ready for new impressions. Biggest left tributary in Albania, Drino, amazed us with crystal clear waters and friendly shepherd, so we soon continued our trip with kayaks where we last stopped. Paddling through town of Tepelene, we felt that the river has become huge. We were meeting more and more people and became aware that we are approaching the more populated area of the Vjosa flow. And with more populated part, more damn endangered part became evident. This time we knew what to expect, but believe me, it was not a single point easier than at Langarica. What we saw was horrendous. Just after the biggest alluvial plain I saw in my entire life, a dam construction site as big as a huge quarry on each side of the river was a sight that strung us right in the heart. We were walking downstream from construction site when one of a sudden a guy, followed by two more, appeared.
Këtu nuk keni çfarë ngjizoni. Do të thras policin. Ja po vin. Ku I keni pasaportat?
But fuck it. We were lucky to leave the place just with our knees shaking, no police, and still having our passports. With its numerous channels of flowing water, it was a true maze, and from time to time we had to ask our media part of the crew, Anje and Nates, to give us directions on which channel to choose. We passed a bridge that seemed too fresh, too new, to be flushed away from recent floods. We paddled on until we could see the dam construction site and started walkie-talkie calling Nates and Angers, who took the road on the river left to establish their location. They were out of reach, so we could predict something was wrong, as they were supposed to be waiting for us below the dam to make a shot. Anyhow, by the dawn, we all safely made it back to the river right and then continued our trip downstream. What followed was a very much relaxing setting. We were now close to the seaside and we could sense the difference in the wind, temperature and vegetation. We met this friendly fellow while he was frog fishing for food. The river was at her biggest as she got some more tributaries to carry. More and more people lived right next to the river. Wildlife was abundant. Frogs were everywhere. Swallows were nesting on all possible objects by the river and in sandy riverbanks. Beautiful bee-eaters were catching insects above our heads and fish were jumping from the water all the way. This all indicates that we are floating on a healthy river and that she is still supported by an amazingly active and functional ecosystem. Something that cannot be seen elsewhere in Europe, as there are no undammed rivers left. Regardless to the relaxed atmosphere, we were paddling for more than 5 hours and still could not catch a glimpse of the sea. We tried to call Angers and Nate several times, but without success. We were still too far away and roads are not something to be found near the Vjosa estuary. We had to go the last surprise thrown at us. Paddling on 500 cubic meters per second strong current into Union Sea in pitch dark. To say that we were lost for a while is the least we can say. Vjosa showed us her power and tricks in her last breaths, and we had to paddle strong to get back to the shore and to our guys. This made our journey all the way to the sea even more spicy, just like this amazing river really is. You simply never know what next bend is hiding. Vjosa is a big river with a big character, and we are all just small human beings who followed her flow, and we feel fortunate to have been able to do that. We will do all we can so you can do the same in years to come. With that, our story didn't end, it just became broader. We took tissue samples of 5 indigenous trout caught in the deepest of canyon in Greece to Balkan Trout Restoration Group in Ljubljana, Slovenia. Leading researcher Dr. Aleš Snoj was thrilled to have us bring the samples from region that was never sampled before. Together we filled all necessary sampling data and then leave them with tiny parts of the fins. So we waited what the analysis will bring and held fingers crossed that what we brought was something special. A call on a rainy Monday morning was astonishing.
Živijo fantje, nec tukaj. Evo, analize so končane, rezultati pa zelo zanimivi. Pogledali smo gene, ki se uporabljajo za določevanje evolucijskih linij postrvi in najdel kar 3 genetske variante, in sicer jadransko, mediteransko in marmorato. To nakazuje na različen evolucijski izvor in pa visoko genetsko pestrost. Kot kaže, gre za zelo zanimivo lokaliteto, ki ima potencialno kritičen pomen za postrvi in bi jo bilo zelo smiselno podrobneje raziskati. Sploh se pa reke s tako bogatim genetskim bazenom ne sme zgubiti. Ajde, držite se, se slišmo.